You know, some stories just feel like they were written for a movie. This is one of them. It's a story about hidden talent, about how quickly we judge people, and about one single crazy moment that changes absolutely everything. And it really makes you ask, how do we actually measure what a person is worth? So let's start where our story starts, in a medical college classroom with this very question. On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward, right? But the answer that's about to be given sets the entire stage for what's to come. And it introduces us to a very, very unlikely hero. And that hero's name is Aditya, a young man who was, for all intents and purposes, living two completely different lives. Two lives that were so far apart, nobody around him could even imagine they belonged to the same person. I mean, just look at this contrast. Every single morning, at 4 a.m., Aditya was a garbage collector. He'd be out on the streets, sifting through trash, collecting scraps to sell. And that money, that wasn't just for food. That was his tuition. It was for his textbooks. It was his entire dream of becoming a doctor. Then the sun would come up, and he'd become someone else, a first-year medical student.
But in that medical world, he was a total outcast. His clothes were worn, he used old newspaper to cover his new books, and his classmates? Well, they were brutal. They just saw a poor kid who didn't fit in. They never once saw the passion burning underneath.
So let's go back to that question in the classroom. While all the other students were trying to figure out the right answer, Aditya quietly raised his hand and said this: "A doctor's duty is to treat. Everything else comes later." So simple, but so profound. The entire room just went silent. And I think for the very first time, his professor really saw him, not the worn-out clothes, but the doctor he was meant to be. Okay, so this is where everything accelerates. Because one evening, Aditya's two separate worlds don't just brush past each other. They collide in a massive life-or-death emergency. Picture this, outside a big, fancy private hospital, a man in a very expensive suit just collapses. It's instant chaos. You hear staff shouting, "It's a VIP case, get him to the ICU." But Aditya, who just happens to be there with his sack of garbage, sees something everyone else is missing. He recognizes the symptoms, the way the man's face is pale, the specific way he's struggling to breathe. He knows this from his textbooks, the ones he studies under the streetlights. This isn't just any heart attack. So now he has this impossible choice to make. He could just walk away, stay invisible like he always does, or he can step forward. He can risk his entire future, his dream of ever becoming a doctor, all on the tiny chance that he's right. What do you do? He tries to help, of course, but he's immediately shut down. A security guard just takes one look at him, at his clothes, at his sack, and literally laughs in his face. He sarcastically calls him Dr. Sahib, Mr. Doctor, and tells him to get lost. In this critical moment, all anyone sees is a dirty nuisance, not the one person who might actually know what's going on. But this is it. This is the moment. He shoves all his fear aside, and he shouts over the noise. He makes this unbelievable claim. "I'm a medical student," he tells them. "Give me 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and a life might be saved." And there's something in his voice, this sheer conviction that just cuts through all the chaos and makes everyone stop. And you're not going to believe this, but a senior doctor, probably against his better judgment, says yes. He gives him the 5 minutes. And what happens next is one of the biggest, most high-stakes gambles you can possibly imagine.
5 minutes. That's it. That is all the time he has to prove he's not crazy, to justify bringing a hospital to a standstill, and, to save this man's life. The pressure is just astronomical.
So they get him into the operating theater, and it's just as Aditya feared. The blockage is in a really, really dangerous place. He immediately tells the senior doctors that the standard procedure, the one they're about to do, will kill him. Instead, he proposes this wild, radical idea he's only ever read about in his books, going in from behind the heart. It's an absolutely insane suggestion coming from a first-year student. And for one absolutely terrifying second, the heart monitor flatlines. The room is dead silent. And then, a beep. And another. A steady rhythm. He did it. Against all odds, the garbage collector, the outcast student, he did it.
Now, you'd think this is where everyone cheers, where our hero gets a medal, right? Well, the story takes another sharp and pretty shocking turn.
Aditya steps out of the operating room. He's exhausted, but he's relieved. The senior doctor comes out and tells everyone the patient is stable. He's out of danger. A life has been saved. But just seconds later, you hear sirens.
The police walk into the hospital, and they arrest Aditya. The charge? Practicing medicine without a license. Can you believe that? The hero who just saved a man's life is now being treated like a criminal.
His mother shows up at the station. She's in tears, and he tries to explain it to her. He says this, even as they're putting handcuffs on the very wrists that just performed a miraculous procedure. He had no choice. He did what a doctor is supposed to do.
So now, Aditya's entire future is in the hands of the one person he saved. The story moves from the police station to the ICU, where the patient, who turns out to be a very, very powerful man, is finally waking up.
And this millionaire, Viraj Malhotra, he's no fool. He remembers the panic in the doctor's eyes before he passed out. The hospital's official story just doesn't add up, so he starts demanding answers. He wants to know who really saved his life.
So they bring Aditya to him, and Viraj offers him anything he wants. Money, a new car, a full scholarship to study anywhere in the world. And Aditya's reply just floors everyone in the room. He asks for two simple things: that his mother can stop washing dishes for a living, and for just enough money to pay for his college fees and books. That's it.
Well, as you can imagine, Viraj Malhotra makes things happen, and fast. Aditya's out of jail that day. The medical council drops all the charges. He's given a special scholarship to finish his degree, and when he finally walks back into his college, the same students who used to mock him now look at him with total respect.
A little while later, Aditya walks through the doors of that same fancy private hospital. Only this time, he's not carrying a garbage sack over his shoulder. He's got a hospital ID card hanging around his neck. It's really the perfect image to show that who you are isn't about what you wear, it's about what you do.
In the end, Viraj Malhotra, the man whose life was saved, said it best. True value isn't always shiny and on display. This whole story is just such a powerful reminder to look past the surface, and it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? How many incredible people, how much amazing potential do we walk right past every single day just because we're too busy judging the cover